Hello and welcome everyone to Weekend Rental episode 62. We are your gaming and geek culture podcast. My name is Ryan. As always, I'm joined by Andy.
Nate.
And Nate.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome, fellas. All right, so if you are new to the podcast, you can find us in all your podcasting places. You can also catch our content over at Geekade, whether it's movies, beer, comics, more. There's content out there, videos, articles, podcasts, all of it at geekade.com. What's your geek? Let's move into our opening segment, Buy, Rent, Burn. Basically what we do is we'll all pick a game for a given system. We'll play them individually, and then we'll decide which ones we would personally buy, rent, or burn. The system this episode is the Sega Master System, and Andy has gone with Montezuma's Revenge. Nate has selected Basketball Nightmare, and I've gone with Alien Syndrome. Let's go back through and talk about these a little bit more in depth. So Montezuma's Revenge, description on this one according to GameFAQs. Once you start this game, you are Panama Joe. In 11 graduated levels of gameplay, you race against perils and time through 100 room mazes of Emperor Montezuma's death-dealing pyramids. Your goal, collect a fortune hidden in Aztec loot, rack up points, and stay alive. So grab a torch and enter the first pyramid, but keep your eyes and ears open, or you could become the next victim of Montezuma's Revenge.
Am I mistaken? But I thought Montezuma's Revenge is like, don't drink the water, right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
I don't think you could name a game this now and get away with it.
No, it's kind of become the diarrhea thing.
This could actually, I could see this being a VR game now, where it's just like inside a bathroom stall.
just sitting there.
Yep.
Yeah. That wouldn't be very, it wouldn't really do a lot for your exercise in VR.
No,
just sitting there.
it'd be more of one of those like simulation experience VRs instead of like actual game. It could work though. Somebody make it happen.
Quick, now you need your head in the toilet. Now you need to sit down.
Grab the plunger. Uh-oh, you're out of toilet paper. Knock on the stall next to you.
That sounds, simulating probably the worst parts of life, right?
Yeah.
That would not be great.
Well, I don't know. I kind of like it.
This game isn't that bad. I wouldn't compare it to Diarrhea.
No.
It's kind of a classic, more so known for the Atari versions of this game.
Yeah, I just kind of think PC. Like, I played this on early PCs a lot sooner. Like, I didn't even know this got a Master System port.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like, a lot of those games back in the day, especially PC games, like you said, Lode Runner and, those type of Spelunker
Pitfall
type games. Yeah, it's very similar to Pitfall as well, kind of finding keys and stuff like that. And, know, very basic platforming.
Yeah.
But yeah, somehow
I think
this
very basic everything though.
Yeah.
Visuals, music, controls.
No music. It's dead silence.
There was that
and then
sweet
random
intro section though, where
enemy.
your guy's like charging up the hill and like the scaling is happening. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But other than that,
But it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty empty as far as sound goes. There isn't a random sound effect here and there when you're facing enemies, right? And the leaping or the jumping. But it definitely seems like they kind of forgot some of those details, or they were very limited at what they were doing anyways. It's really kind of strange, but it is very PC, very early PC.
And if you look at like some of the screenshots from some of the other PC, like early PC iterations, like they all look substantially better, or for the most part, than this version, which is weird because usually the Sega Master System, you see pretty good graphical fidelity. But this one, I don't feel like they put a lot of effort into porting this one over. I think it probably got ported over quickly and they were hoping it was going to sell on name alone, because really this was kind of one of those games that everybody played back in the day. And, as Andy was mentioning, with all the games like that back then, really Montezuma's Revenge is sort of the template for a lot of popular indie games now. You know, Sydney Hunter and Spelunker. I mean, there's still a lot of nostalgia for games like this in current day.
Yeah. It is disappointing, though, that they didn't try and do more. I mean, the game originally came out in like 84, you know, like by the time it got to Master System, it was probably 89, 88. So like, you couldn't tell me you couldn't add some music, you know, or even the feel of the game was very clunky.
Right. Yeah. The controls were sloppy.
Yeah.
Like clipping and like ledge detection, I felt was a problem. Like I fell a lot when I really felt like I shouldn't have, but I don't know.
And the jumping was really strange. There was a lot of jumping in the game, a lot of jumping that you have to do. And I guess, you know, the top portion of the platform that you are on seems shorter for like the actual jump. So you kind of go up and then slide over.
Yeah.
It is very, I mean, it is kind of a PC jump, but it just doesn't flow well. It doesn't look natural on the jumping or anything like that. But it was surprising that they didn't do much more to it.
Yeah, it would be like on Mario, where if you wanted to make a jump, instead of jumping from below up, you like jumped sideways, and that's how you had to make jumps. And it's not quite that like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it all kind of just led to a game where you're feeling like you're never really in control and you're fighting the controls more than you are navigating the game itself.
Kind of like diarrhea. You're never in control.
I think that's a perfect segue. Let's go on to the next game here. Nate's pick, Basketball Nightmare. For what it's worth, I think this is like a Brazil game only. Definitely not US, maybe PAL, I'm not sure. Description: you are the captain of the hometown high school's basketball team. You've won the tournament and are trying to win the All-American High School Championship. But then one night you had a very strange dream. That does a terrible job of explaining this game.
Is that it?
That's it. They don't talk about how
oh my gosh,
there's monsters and werewolves doing slam dunks.
Wow. So I chose this game strictly off of title. I saw basketball and then I was like, nightmare, what could this be? And so instantly my imagination starts going off and I'm thinking it's some Splatterhouse or whatever, something like cutesy nightmare basketball player throwing a basketball, killing people. But it's a basketball game. That's really all it is a basketball game of 6 different stages. I guess
You played this a lot more
you
than I
are
did.
human. You are human. I guess a team that all looks the same. So you're all the same player times 5, and then you're playing each stage. You're playing, I guess, different monsters. So you would do werewolves. You would do vampires. One-eyed monsters as you get further in. There's no boss battles or anything like that. It just gets more difficult and faster pace as you go through the different stages.
Yeah.
It has very similar cutscenes to like Double Dribble when you're dunking,
Yep.
but a lot better.
They're amazing.
Like they look really, really crisp and good. The enemies have the cutscene as well, but it is the same cutscene. It's not something different or a different motion or a different face or anything like that. It's very, very similar. So that was the only, I would say, exciting piece was those cutscenes for a while, and then it just kind of became this monotonous thing. And it's a basketball game. It really is.
Yeah. I kind of like likened it a little bit to like the Kunio-kun sports games.
Yes.
Like it felt like almost like a Super Dodgeball or a World Championship Soccer type vibe where it's like compact little characters, simple controls, like everything plays tight. And it's just got that kind of feel to it and action pacing. But I mean, those animated scenes kind of really brought it to a whole next level with how well they were done. I think the thing that's difficult with this game is, you kind of enjoy it, but you're playing against the computer. I think where this would shine is couch co-op. I think this would actually be a game I could sit down with a buddy and, play through a few games together. So it's kind of hard to really get a full feel for what I think this game could be, but I enjoyed what I saw. It's like you said, it is just a basketball game, but it's a really well done kind of cutesy package.
Yeah, I mean, the Sega Master System, that's really, like, the colors are so bright and so vibrant, and it just looks so good. So when that first cutscene came up, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. And then you kind of go back to the blah background of basketball, and it was very simple.
I think it says a lot, like when you boot up the game, the first option where the cursor lands is CPU versus CPU. Like, you just want to watch this. You don't want to actually play it.
I know, that is a weird choice, isn't it? Like, you put that as your first option. How many kids booted into that and were like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I also love like how those cutscenes also show the failures as well. So like if he'll do like a front flip and then like totally doink it on the rim, like
yeah,
it's like
it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. But it's tough to go back to this type of game after like NBA Jam, because it's like, where's the turbo button? Like it's so slow, and yeah. But that just comes with
and the
territory.
Enemies, or not even the enemies, the players would cross over each other, and so you'd lose a guy behind your guy. And it was really confusing, especially if you're playing defense. You're like, where did my guy go as he's in front of you? And so there was definitely some clipping and some really kind of strange things like that. It wasn't super, super clean. That kind of was a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely could have made like a few quality of life improvements and added a bit more depth to like the passing and the strategy. Because I think that was the overall thing that it lacked, was clear and fun strategies to be better at the game. Like, it was very simple, and like, I mean, passing wasn't overly effective. Everybody moved super slow, so it's not like you can break away. It's just kind of like this very slow game. Again, like the Kunio-kun games of basketball, but with frickin' monsters. That's adorable.
I wish I could play as Teen Wolf, then I could play both sides of the ball.
I know. I was kind of waiting for like there to be a transition where like the humans like morphed into something, but it just never happened. All right, let's go to the last game here. Alien Syndrome, my pick. Let's get a longer description. We'll see how far we get in this one. A mysterious alien space fleet has invaded human-occupied space, called the Alien Syndrome. They are the deadliest creatures mankind has ever encountered, and Alien Syndrome shoots first and asks no questions. A battalion of your friends attacks the alien fleet. They are captured and held hostage. Earth Command sends one soldier to get them back. I'll just cut it off there because there's like a lot more to that. So yeah, Alien Syndrome arcade game, I believe, originally. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's basically kind of a commando-ish type game where you're top down, shooting everything on screen, but there's a little bit more of a rescue mission to it where you are going through trying to upgrade your weapons that you find along the way, but you're also rescuing your fellow humans from the enemies on screen. This is one of those games that I feel like over the years I keep bringing up as like kind of a hidden gem that's pretty inexpensive on the NES. And 9 times out of 10, when I say that, the person always responds, "It's better on the Master System." It's not. The aliens look better. They almost look like 3D modeled almost.
That's because they're actual aliens from the movie. Alien.
From the movie. Even the cover art just gleams that unapologetically. Awful cover art too, which is not surprising for the Sega Master System. But what happens on the Sega Master System is the fundamental gameplay has not changed, but instead of a game where you scroll through an open map, you are essentially kind of taking it back to the Atari 2600 days where you're going room to room. And to me, it makes for a much chunkier experience. And while the enemies might have more detail, I think the overall level does not. So I think there's a trade-off there too. This is not. It's hard for me to like look at this without keeping the NES version in mind, because this isn't a bad game by any means. But when you compare it to its other 8-bit counterpart, like I just cannot enjoy playing this one because I could be playing a version of it that I prefer much more on another system, I guess.
The controls on this game drove me nuts. I think it's just the going left to right and hitting diagonal, and
it needs
trying to control your guy. Yeah, for sure. But just trying to guide that guy to shoot was pretty obnoxious. And as you kind of traverse through the levels, I mean, there's aliens coming all different directions. And so it makes it very difficult to just kind of get away from them and navigate away from them. I always thought I think there's a lot of weapon upgrades throughout the whole game. And so I think the concept of the game is really dumb, because these humans are sitting in a room with a whole bunch of weapons. Why can't they just save themselves?
Because they can't walk over to the wall and grab them off. They're too short. You're saving midgets. This 6'5" gargantuan has to go in alone and grab them off the top shelf.
Right. Yeah, I guess. My favorite upgrade was the flamethrower. I think was probably the best weapon that
satisfying.
I liked. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Sega Master System looks better. But yeah, just the overall, like, I don't think some of the weapons aren't as good on this one as in the NES. But actually, due to the limitations of the hardware even. But it's fucking hard. This game is incredibly hard. Like, even I got to that first boss and I'm like, I'm just going to cheese it just to see what the next level is.
Yeah.
And it took me a billion retries just at the first boss just to get through it. He's a sponge a little bit.
Is this now? I didn't look, but was there? I assume there's a 2-player option in this too, right?
You know, I didn't look either. Because
on the NES version, that was like one of the things I liked. But I suppose I do have game facts up. Let's see if that tells me anything. Because the thing is Alien Syndrome isn't all that different from a lot of other games exactly like this of that era. So when you see a version like this that's just kind of like struggling to kind of keep itself afloat, it's kind of hard to appreciate it too much, because you've got your commandos, you've got your guerrilla warrior, all that stuff.
Your time soldiers.
Yeah, which also has a terrible port to the Master System. What is it with this type of game? I don't know. I guess it doesn't say in here whether it's 2-player. I'm going to assume it is, but yeah. Probably more tolerable with a friend, really, but
yeah,
that isn't the way we do things here. So
we don't have friends, no.
We don't even like each other. We just do this out of spite. 62 episodes of angst and misery.
I just want you guys to know it's not you guys, it's me.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty.
That's my mantra. I live by that.
You finally got it, Ryan. You got it for once.
Wow, it's so satisfying. When other people talked about it, I always wondered what that would be like. Thanks, Andy.
Yep.
All right, let's go through and give our verdicts. Andy, we'll start with you. Which ones are you going to buy, or which game are you going to buy, rent, or burn?
I think I'm going to buy Montezuma's Revenge, which is crazy for a port that's from an old 80s game to a Master System. And I don't think they did enough to actually update it that much, but it was the game out of these three that I would probably play more and want to continue exploring. My rent, I think, is going to be Basketball Nightmare, because it does the job. It looks good. It's just after 10 minutes, it's like, yeah, you have a basketball game. It just has monster sprites in it more than
the
basic NBA ones. But and then my burn is going to be Alien Syndrome. I think you're completely right. The NES version is way better than this.
Thank you. Finally, someone agrees with me.
which is terrible to say considering it's a Sega game, right? I think.
Yeah, that's right. It was a Tension cart. So, yep.
I believe it's a Sega made game and it's better on the Nintendo hardware.
Damn it. Nate, how about you?
I'm having a tough one. I don't know. I think they're all kind of subpar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In equal ways.
Right. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. I don't know. This one's a tough one for me.
I don't think I'd buy any of these unless they were on clearance, to put it fairly.
Right.
This is kind of how I feel about them.
I think I'm going to buy, not because it's mine, but Basketball Nightmare.
Whatever. Well, if you have to preface it with not because it's mine, because it's yours.
Okay, because it's mine.
Thank you for being honest.
I'm going to buy Basketball Nightmare. Not that there's depth to it or any. It is just a basketball game. Sprite swaps, nothing special. The cutscenes are cool, but when you're putting it up against these other two games, I think it's a little more superior, just visually. And I think I'm gonna rent Montezuma's Revenge. I think that's gonna be my rent.
Most people.
There's some exploring in there. That's
a diarrhea joke.
There's some decent. Yeah, I got it.
Just joking.
I'm just trying to keep on going here. Hence the diarrhea joke to continue. Gosh. Yeah, there's some depth to this game and some exploration. I think that's fun, but just the basic graphics and no music kind of makes it difficult for me to play. I think that's a big part of my video game experience is sound, and I love that part about a lot of games. And just when there isn't a soundtrack of any sort, it's just weird to me.
Yeah.
And I guess my burn is going to be Alien Syndrome. I agree with you guys.
Yes.
It's better on the NES version. We all agreed on something. This is really, really strange. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of that game. So Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah. So, like we were saying, this is tough because they're all kind of mediocre in their own way. I think I'm going to buy Montezuma's Revenge, and a lot of that is just nostalgia for having played that game when I was really little. My neighbors across the street, I don't even know if I was in kindergarten yet, had gotten a PC. It was the first kind of home computer I'd seen with like video games. It wasn't the Apple with the green screen. They had color and everything, and this was one of the games they had played.
Wow.
So I have fond memories of it. Obviously, at that age, I was terrible at it, but we still would try. So to see this kind of game and this style of game and remember playing that as a kid, even though this is kind of a botched version of it, there's still some charm to that for me and some nostalgia. So I'm going to buy Montezuma's Revenge. I will rent Basketball Nightmare just because, like I said, there's nothing outstanding about it. It is just a basketball game, but I think the 2-player couch co-op aspect of this would justify, having a buddy over, doing a sleepover, or, as a kid and playing a game like this for a weekend.
Or as an adult.
Yeah, or an adult, that's fine too. Clothing optional. And I would burn Alien Syndrome just because this isn't a good version of this game, despite a lot of people's opinions. So come at me, bro. I'm burning it. I'm going to play it on my Nintendo.
Have you guys played the remake? I have not.
Alien Syndrome for the Wii?
Yeah.
I think I bought it. I can look over my shelf right now, but I have not played it. I was always curious. It seemed like that was one that was like in bargain bins right away, though. I think it might have been a budget title to start. I should play it.
Probably.
Have you?
No, I don't know if it's like a remake or if it's like they just made it waggle controls or
that's
something.
That's the problem, isn't it, with the Wii? I should find a copy of that. I really thought I had it, but I don't think I do. I do want to play that, though. Be worth checking out. If anybody knows, hit us up on Twitter or send us an email. weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. And with that, another Byron Burn in the books.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video game. The Sega Master System.
Hang on!
With more accurate control, more detailed graphics, more levels of play.
Awesome!
The Sega Master System comes with power-based 2 control pads, light phaser, and 2 great video games. Hang On and Safari Hunt.
Gotcha!
And with other games like Rambo, Outrun, and Choplifter, the excitement never stops. The Sega Master System. The challenge will always be there.
Let's move on from Byron Byrne. Instead of kind of talking about gaming news and what we're playing, we're going to do something a little bit different because we're coming up on the end of a decade. I thought it would be fun to maybe just kind of take a look at the last 10 years and all of us kind of share some thoughts. What happened with gaming, our gaming experiences, maybe some of our collecting experiences, things that happened in our lives revolving around gaming in that decade. Just kind of see where the conversation goes. I think like I'll just kick it off. Like I was looking at this a little bit and I was trying to think like what was I doing 10 years ago? What was I playing? And I was slow to get into the previous generation. I'd gotten out of college. I'd sold off a lot of like the current gaming consoles. I still like I've collected for many, many years since high school. So I still had like my old school stuff, but the PlayStation 2s and the GameCube, like that stuff was gone. I didn't have a home console. So when I was married and we had a house and no kids yet, and that's kind of when I got late into like the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. And I think the thing that I just look back to 2010 at and all I can think about and all that consumed me for about 3 years straight was Call of Duty. Annual releases of Call of Duty, starting with Modern Warfare 2. I think that came out in 2009. And I just played, yeah. I think I want to say like as an adult, I think the last decade was probably the most video gaming I've ever played in my adult life, and will probably go down as the decade that I played. I can't to that extent anymore. I was still relatively young. I could stay up late, wake up, ready to go for work on 3 hours of sleep. I didn't have kids to get off to school, and I just played Call of Duty like a maniac every day. I don't know why. I did that for so many years.
I think a lot of people did, right? Like,
yeah,
it was such a huge thing. I never got into that. Just never interested me. I played the single player a lot, but multiplayer was just never.
Well, that's funny because like I've bought, I don't know, I probably bought almost every Call of Duty game for 6 years straight, and I have yet to play a campaign in any of them. I've only ever launched into multiplayer.
That's pretty funny. And I thought, I would probably like that because it has, it's basically taking multiplayer and adding RPG mechanics because it's leveling up and
yeah,
all that stuff.
Oh, and you get that sweet leveling music. And it's like freaking awesome every time you level up. It's so satisfying. Yeah.
My 10 years is definitely changed big time, especially recently. I would say in the last just handful of years, I was kind of opposite of you. I was still playing NES. That's all I ever focused on for many, many years. And that's just what I played for forever. And so I missed out on all this new gen stuff that was coming out. People were getting GameCubes. I was still playing the NES. People were getting PlayStations and PlayStation 2, 3, etc. And I would still be playing the NES. It wasn't until I met you guys, essentially, in the last, few years, 3 years or so, that we've known each other, or a couple of years, that you're like, guys, Nate, you need to start playing something that is new. And so my first experience was getting a PlayStation 4 way late in the game. What was that, last year? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you were an early Switch adopter though. You jumped right into that, right?
Yeah. The Nintendo Switch was my first kind of leap into new gen, and there was this massive gap. And so the Switch, I really, really enjoyed. I think it's something great. But the PlayStation, when I started up the PlayStation 4, I was like, oh my gosh, I missed out on some pretty incredible stuff. And so playing Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time last year, I was blown away. And I always laugh because Ryan's like, well, welcome back to 2000 whatever.
Yeah, I just remember having you over. We did like that live stream. We streamed something stupid like Team like Broforce.
Broforce.
And then like before you left, because I knew you were a big Breath of the Wild guy, I was like, here. And I gave you the controller and put on like Horizon Zero Dawn. And you were just like jawed at the floor. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It just looked so good. And I'm kind of strange, different than a lot of people that I've really hardcore Nintendo. I stick with them. I don't really waver. I've never owned a PlayStation or anything like that. So I just assume nothing can get better. I mean, there's good games out there, but Breath of the Wild, it's not going to top that. And Breath of the Wild, great game, one of my favorites, probably top 3 for sure. But visually is very different than the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in just the last couple of years, it's just been this onslaught of, man, this stuff is awesome. And so I'm so late. So in the last 10 years, I've jumped from 8-bit to like PC quality or nearly PC quality gaming. And so that's been really fun for me to learn about this new gen stuff that I missed out on. And it's really overwhelming. My collection as a whole has just changed so much. NES is all I ever had until I go game hunting with you guys, and you're like, pick this up, buy this, you need this.
You don't know how many times I've thrown things
way
in
more
your
money.
pile. Like, just don't worry about it. Just you're getting this.
Don't ask any questions. Just get it. And so all of a sudden, my collection is becoming more eclectic, and it gives me some slight anxiety because now I feel like I gotta just collect for everything. So you really open this like crazy door in the last few years.
Well, like I told you, it's like you get to a point with your NES collection where you're at the rares, like, and all of the stuff, even the common stuff, is harder to find. So like by buying some of those now affordable systems that you missed out on, because a lot of disc-based media is still dirt cheap, especially from the last 2 gens. Like now you've got options. So when you go out there and you don't find your NES games that you're missing, 9 times out of 10, at least you can get like the PlayStation 2 game for like 50 cents, something. It makes it a little more fun. Otherwise, you're coming home empty-handed a ton, which is the sad reality these days.
And I've been used to that for years, where you just don't find anything, and so that's just been fun to see, GameCube stuff popping up in my collection, and I think something that's really excited me in the last 6 months is TurboGrafx 16, where I'm just like, this thing is so awesome.
Did you buy did either of you buy the EverDrive that I sent you the sale for?
No, I didn't.
Bastards. It was a good deal. It's once a year.
It was a good deal. It was a good deal. But that's been really cool for me too. I feel like, not to get all sappy on you guys, but the start of the podcast or meeting you guys through YouTube, etc., like you guys just like opened up my collection, and I feel like if I didn't meet you guys and didn't hang out with you guys, I would still be.
You wouldn't be poor
playing the NES. I'd have more money for sure.
We've ruined you.
I'm broke. That I would still be just playing the NES and still be just content with the library of games that I've had over. I probably 12 years or 12 or 13 years. So,
yeah. And like, not to get all sappy either, but like, that's a huge point of the last 10 years for me too, is, kind of coming out of that age where like all of us kind of transitioned in that weird space where we became adults, where mainstream gaming wasn't quite there yet. So you become an adult, there's still a stigma to it. There's still some stigma, but now I feel like it's getting more normalized as we're getting older, and people like us have young kids, and we just accept that you game throughout your life because we're still doing it. So like collecting and playing games was something you very much like bottled up at least you didn't talk to a lot of people about it. I mean, when you're in your 20s and you're starting out in your professional career or whatever, there are still people that do it, and you can have conversations about Call of Duties. But certainly, like from the retro scene and collecting all that, everyone had the nostalgia, but it was sort of just this personalized thing that I kept to myself. And you're looking back almost 6 years ago for me now, when I made the leap and decided to just dive into, I'm out here game hunting, I'm out here collecting. There are people on YouTube doing it. Why can't I do that too? Like, more so just for me, it was like just a cool thing I could do. It was fun. And for a long time, nobody watched that. And then, that started picking up, and my circle of people that I started to know grew. And in fact, that's how we've all met on this podcast. So the last 6 years, that had a huge impact on me in this last decade. Andy reached out to me through, God, what was it again? Like, I bought something off of our friend's Mobile Game World at a flea market and had...
Yeah, and he shared your video.
Yes, because I thanked him for letting me film it. It was like the very first time I'd asked anybody if I could film. I was like, I was super introverted then. Like, I'm an introverted person now still, but like all the years of YouTube and this podcast has changed that. And yeah, I remember asking them like sheepishly, like feeling like a dumbass if I could, film this thing. And yeah, they shared it out, and then you had emailed.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
that was quite a long time ago now.
Yeah, we've known each other. I bet that was my first year of YouTube. So you and I have known each other probably a little over 5 years now.
Yeah.
And then we had that like awkward meetup where you're like, hey, I run this game business. You want to meet up some? And I'm like, yeah, it was like a weird like Tinder or Craigslist meetup moment. And then like we just kind of hit it off. I think at first you were probably looking for somebody to help you out with your business a little more. And then I think on one of our trips, like you'd offered to like throw me some cash to go with you. And I think I handed some of it back. I spent some of it, and I was like, dude, like, if you want me to do this stuff, like I like it, I'll just go for free. Like, let's just hang out. And that was kind of it. And, yeah, it was great. And then we did that for a few years. And then I don't even know how Nate got through Twitter, through YouTube. I think you had heard about him. And
yeah, I started watching him
at
some point. Yeah. And then I saw the North Dakota as his logo. I'm like, well, that's weird.
Right. Because there's like 5 people in North Dakota and less the game. Yeah. Then I remember I think you said something on Twitter. I checked out his channel and I was like, well, what the fuck? I thought I really honestly believed at that point in time, our world has gotten much bigger, but I really truly believed that like Andy and I were the only possible people in our area that were doing anything like this. Cause Andy had a YouTube channel back then too. And you would document your pickups. We all kind of came up from the pickups scene. And then to find out that Nate was like right there, like our age, doing the exact same thing. And then what pissed me off, because I saw the very first video hitting the same flea markets and getting better shit than I came home with. And I was like, cool. And then,
oh my gosh,
yeah, that was, God, I bet it's been almost 3 years now that I met you.
Yeah.
Or at least became aware of you.
I would say it's about 3 years. But I thought the same thing, that I'm literally the only guy in North Dakota that does this.
Because you feel so ashamed
Andy is
about
this
it
common,
almost.
Right, yeah. So Andy's this common thread that was like, hey, go check this out, or you need to go check this out, and then linked everybody together.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, we should do
you
a
really
podcast,
are,
all this stuff. It's so weird. It's just really random how it all happened. But
you're like that dude, you're Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm like LinkedIn
Avengers.
of retro gaming.
You look exactly like him too, Samuel.
Can you get an eye patch, please?
Yes. I need to start saying motherfucker more, I guess. But
I'm tired of these motherfucking games on this motherfucking plane. Yeah. No, so that's been like, when I look back at, the last 10 years, like there was obviously that like kind of getting back into gaming, and then like just the community and like how much that has changed, my life in the last few years with you guys and these projects and this podcast. Like we do this stuff. If you're listening, you obviously know we do this because we love it and we love talking to each other, and we
make a lot of money doing it.
Oh, we are so rich. Oh gosh. I just sleep on top of the piles of money that people throw at us for this podcast.
Yeah. I sleep with them, so no, I'm just joking. One time it was in Milwaukee. So
yeah. So yeah, it's been kind of cool when I think back, and like I think back to all. I mean, you know, when like I said, like I'm a much different person now, but like even now when I meet all these people that I've known through YouTube and you meet them at conventions, like I think a lot of people are surprised because they see you on a video and like, yeah, I'm comfortable talking and being energetic to no one in a room with a camera on me, but like when I meet these people that like you arguably know them pretty well through your channels, and it's just like I don't know what to say and I feel so like weird about it. Obviously we've gotten past that stage with this crew, like we're all friends, we hang out in real life at this point, but yeah, it's been pretty awesome, I gotta say. Like I never thought I'd have a group of friends who liked the exact same dumbass dorky video game shit that I do. And it's kind of cool.
My wife loves it. For
'Cause now-
years,
Yes.
I've had no friends. This is gonna sound so pathetic.
Aww.
I've had 0 friends, and my wife would just sit in the living room and she's like, "Don't you have anybody? Like, go do something." And I was like, I don't know any. Like, I'm a transplant. I'm not from here, and so I'm like, I don't know anybody. And so now to find someone or find people to like hang out with, she's like, "You're out more than I am. You're going out playing video games. You're staying out downtown Fargo at Replay Games until midnight or 11 o'clock or whatever it is, and eating fruit snacks and drinking soda and playing video games. It's pretty innocent." So
yeah, it's really interesting that I think me and you, Ryan, had the same trajectory almost, where like in the like early 2000s, I don't know if I was burnt out on games or I just didn't think games was cool anymore or whatever. I guess I played Guitar Hero a lot, but other than that, like, yeah, I skipped that whole entire generation almost as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 2007 rolled around and I was like back to like roots, you know, NES, old stuff.
Yeah,
Sega.
that Wii really helped bring back a lot of that, I feel. With the
Yeah, maybe
Virtual
that's what it was,
Console
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. It kind of rekindled that memory, and then that's what I got into collecting and, you know, game hunting a lot was back in those days.
Well, what I think's interesting with you is like you full on made retro gaming and game hunting and reselling, and that was your livelihood. Like you did that for what, 3 years probably? Full time or
yeah,
two?
2 years I did it full time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm still doing it but obviously that market slowed down quite a bit just because the stock isn't around anymore and the margins are basically nothing.
No, you hit on it like right when it was still like primed and up and coming, like before everyone jumped on. I mean, Christ, you probably beat me to YouTube by what, a year or two? I mean, you were
I
doing
don't
your
even
hunting
remember.
stuff. You had quite a few videos and content out before, because once I'd met you, I was like, oh, I'll check out your channel because you'd mentioned it too. And I want to say you were doing like Let's Plays before Let's Plays was the thing. Because you had
I
your
don't know
whole
about
play to
that,
order,
but-
and it was pretty early on, man.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, I don't even know how long ago that was, but it was a dark time. YouTube.
it was a dark time.
I remember being like so jealous when I first met you because you're like living the dream, right? Like I'm sitting in a cube, like slaving away at some meaningless like office job, and you're like texting me from like 5 states over, like some amazing game you found for $3 at a thrift store. I'm just like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, those days are pretty much over.
Yeah. Oh, it was pretty awesome that you got to do that though, and that you've been generous all these years, like with helping Nate and I get good deals and build up our collections. And not that we don't all give each other bro price at this point and just keep the channels open, but you've been pretty instrumental in building a lot of that, especially for me.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
He sold me a GameCube and gave me the Matrix with it. And
The finest GameCube
the
game.
finest GameCube. And I knew from that moment, like, I'm going to get the hookup I'm going to get the
'Cause
hookup
of the Matrix.
because of the Matrix.
God, I still remember that. Makes me laugh. Like that first or second episode you were on the podcast, and then Andy had found that top loader in the box, and you guys are like working out a deal to like buy the box off. And I'm like, whoa, F this noise! Like, who's this guy?
So you guys that are listening to this, like, we use some cameras so we can see each other and talk to each other, and that was something that was kind of happening between segments or whatever. You had to run up and go take a piss or whatever, and so he's like, yeah, I got this box top loader, and I'm sweating. I'm like, oh yeah, and you're like, okay, well we'll talk this, and you come back and we're still talking about this top loader, and this face stares
so
into the
pissed.
camera. If you guys, I wish you could have seen, I wish I could have recorded it. Your face was staring right at me like, I'm going to murder you. Like,
Yeah.
there was death in your eyes. And Andy's just like kindly backs up like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Like, just got really, really quiet. And then texts were flying later that night like, you're a jerk.
I'm like, Andy's my hookup. I get first dibs.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man? New
Yeah.
guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, I might have overreacted, but it's funny to look at now.
Sorry. Andy was
It's still
attracted
up
to
there.
the new character coming in. I still need that box.
Son of a bitch.
I need that box. So, yeah, that stuff cracks me up. I mean, we're kind of getting a little off subject, but man, that we are still very competitive.
Yeah, when it
Just
comes to
when we're-
Nintendo stuff.
You're blocking me out. I'm blocking you out. Yeah, it still gets a
When we-
little intense between us on
Well, and you're
fights. And
such a
Andy
s-
just strolls around and he's like, we're fighting over stupid things, and he comes back with these giant bags of stuff, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you guys are still fighting over that? I got all this." It's
I feel like you
ridiculous.
guys are like, you think like I'm a baby or something. They're like, where's Andy? Where is he? But whenever we're game hunting, he's like, we gotta go find him. He's
My
See-
spidey senses are going off here.
I don't worry as much about you because most of the time I know that if you find something amazing, like you're okay with like selling or trading it if we really want it. But when I turn around and I don't see Nate, that's when I panic. Because I'm like, oh shit, he found like a box of NES for like 50 cents a game. I gotta like track him down, shake him up.
Like, we recently went to a flea market in St. Cloud, which is
Yeah.
about a couple hours away. And that was funny because I would be one booth ahead of you, and all of a sudden I see you kind of like speed walk behind me to the next booth so you could just get one booth ahead of me. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I got to get that booth. And then Andy's missing. Who knows where he's at?
I'm behind you guys. I catch up to you guys and like, look what I bought. You
Yeah,
guys
you have like
missed
a
it.
wagon full of shit. It was amazing. Every time I turn around, you had another bag.
Yeah,
You guys were just
those
skipping by it.
moments just crack me up in the last few years of just like the gaming. Like, we're serious collectors, but we're also just completely idiots, like
Yeah.
complete idiots. Just
Well, it's so
messing with
dumb
each
too,
other.
because like we give each other so much stuff, like back and forth, and like just open, like here you go. But like when we're on the hunt, like holy crap, is it real? But yeah, you're right though, Andy, because like Nate and I are like surface level, no gray cart. We immediately like brain shut down, move on to the next, and you're just like pulling out PS2 gems that we didn't bother to even think about. Like I still remember turning around and witnessing that deal where you ask the guy, well, how much are all these games here? Oh, $1 a piece. And I'm like, son of a. It was like all that GameCube and PS2 stuff. You get the
Yeah.
Alice game. Ah.
Yeah, that was like the last time that I've actually had a lot of fun at a flea market
Yeah,
or any type of game hunting.
that was great. That was a good day trip.
At least the game hunting side. The rest of it, like you said, is always fun.
I regret
I
the
think-
Mongolian food.
Oh, I don't know. That was
Not as
good.
much as you guys did.
I didn't hate
The
it.
first that first time, I think Nate was on a trip with us, and we went to that Goodwill,
Oh my
and
god!
you found Zelda the Wind Waker and practically slapped it out of his hands.
Watertown, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Ooh. Snap my wrist.
I was
and
like,
grab
holy
that.
man, this guy's not coming back after that.
I jumped into a car of guys that I hardly knew.
Yeah.
And I was glad I did, but we decided to game hunt all the way down to this big sale that we were going to. And yeah, this Goodwill, I don't even have a GameCube. Or did I at that time?
You were looking for one.
I was looking for one, and it was this game that both of our hands were, it was Zelda, and both of our hands were going up in slow-mo, and it was going to the same game. Like, we were going to hold hands, and Ryan just slaps me, like, get away.
I just remember you being like, I don't even have a GameCube. I'm like, I don't care, it's mine.
Yeah, you just, yeah.
Wind Waker for $4.
That set the tone for the relationship of everybody. And yeah, it was hilarious.
Well, it's so funny because, like, you know, the trial by fire, like just jumping in with complete strangers and going on these trips. Because it's kind of like after the initial, like, one or two brief interactions that Andy and I had, it was just like, hey, I get a text from him like, hey, I'm going to Portland. You want to come along? I'm like, okay.
1,000 miles. Let's
right.
go.
And he's not flying to Portland from the Midwest, mind you, for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. He's driving. So Andy and I, we were like friendly acquaintances at that point, got to spend a lot of time together.
I learned a lot about you that trip.
Small bladder, smelly ass. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that quick as well. I think that's your staple. That's your calling card. We head down to that sale and I'm throwing up in the back because you're farting.
Oh,
your snick kit.
I was laughing with my parents at Thanksgiving because I was telling them the story about how when you came over to pick up some of that stuff, there was that dried cat turd I found on the floor, and like I picked it up barehanded because I didn't know what it was, and I threw it away. And Nate's just in the corner, like dry heaving to himself.
I got a soft stomach, guys. I can't handle it.
So I mean, yeah, like, you know, that's been like a huge part of the decade for us all, and it's been great. And like I love hanging out with you guys and doing this podcast, so that's awesome. But then like from the gaming scene, like gaming almost completely changed over the last 10 years in the way that people look at games, in the way that developers release games, the states that they release them in. You know, AAA developers, the costs of gaming have changed, so people don't take risks. We get sequels to sure things. It's rare that you get a new game, you know. And then, like we've been talking about with our retro hobby, the beginning of this decade was almost the end. You know, maybe 2010 to 2012 was when it was beginning to build up steam, but still low level. You could still go out and find the stuff. There wasn't awareness of retro games being valuable to the casual market. And then we kind of saw the demise, I guess, at least in my opinion, for a lot of the joy and just the way that I think all of us grew our own collections and the fun that we had, which was going to thrift stores, going to garage sales. And, you know, when we did it, we were starting out, you're basically buying junk that nobody wanted. But we cherished. And then over the last 10 years up till now, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's insane and I can't go anywhere and find it. Certainly not for pennies. So it's kind of sad to see that. Cause like I look back to when, you know, before I had kids, you know, and I was newly married and the stuff was still junk. And I really liked going out there and like finding it, and it was cool and it was easy. And now it's just kind of outside of conventions or eBay. It's a crapshoot.
It's really disgusting if you think about it, because when we were hitting those garage sales and doing $1 a game or 50 cents a game or whatever it was, and then you'd find those like $5 games, and you're like, I'm not spending $5 on that. Yeah. I will never spend $5 on a game. And then a year goes by and you're spending $5 to $10 on a game, and then years go by and it's 20 to 40, 100 to 150. You go to, you know, the Midwest Gaming Classic and you're dumping thousands of dollars on games that it's just sickening to, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. And then all of a sudden just, here's my wallet, take it all.
I remember arguing with an ARC thrift store employee about an NES with 2 controllers and like 10 games that they were trying to sell for $25. I'm like, you're insane. Like, that's this is trash. I'm like, I just want like 3 of the games. Let me buy them for like $1. And now I'm like, man, what was I thinking? Like,
Just buy it, shut up at that point. Yeah.
Right. I'd buy bags of that stuff at that price these days.
Yeah.
You just can't. You can't.
It's so funny because now you see it so far on the other side of the spectrum that I think there's a lot of people that are buying games for more than what they're worth in like junk games.
Yeah.
Because you'll have the common people show up to a garage sale and be like, oh, video games are worth money. So then they'll buy all the games. And most, a lot of times they're junk and they're not worth anything. So these people are actually paying it.
Yeah, and didn't you say you came across a guy a few years ago who was like buying lots on eBay? Like thinking like with that mentality, and you said he was just like thousands of sports games, but it was because the price per unit was so low he thought he was getting a steal.
Yeah, he had an entire house full of games. And he was getting into like he's treating like boxed sealed TurboGrafx games like it was like Apple stock, It's like okay.
Well, that probably wasn't a bad investment, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's the one place where he didn't screw up. But those like 3,000 copies of 989 sports games on whatever system aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. But that's where I got my TurboGrafx. And that's, to see that, the games that he had, that he was just buying off eBay and holding for a little bit and selling. It was insane that he lived like 10 minutes away from me, Like, again, like you don't realize that there's people, that has that stuff around you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
I think probably the biggest thing that happened to all of us in this decade was our children.
Yeah.
And that changed how we game a lot, I think.
Changed gaming forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. Like you have to kind of look at it in a different way, and you have to be more practical about your income because it's not, usually I think with most people, once you have kids, like it puts a fire under your butt. Like everyone works harder. We all gain more experience through life, and like you get better paying jobs and things too. But like collecting takes a back seat. I think one of the things that surprised me, at least initially, was like I thought I would be playing pretty much no games once I had a kid. But as a lot of dads, gamer dads will know, it's really those first 3 years, nobody's really getting sleep at home. So when I thought my gaming would end, my wife was going to bed and I'd have to be up and like doing the diapers and the bottles. So, for those couple of years, like I got really good at playing video games with a controller in my hand and, one of the kids curled up in there. So that was kind of cool. And then my collecting just kind of was there, but, I didn't get out to do it as much. But one of the things I think I've loved, especially now in the more recent couple of years, is like my kids getting to that age in this last decade where I can enjoy games with them and, just kind of see the joy on their face and kind of introduce them to a lot of these games and franchises that we all grew up on as kids and loved. And like seeing my son, my daughter get in, my son more so, my daughter's kind of getting out of it. That's a pretty awesome thing as a dad and a gamer. And, it kind of changes, you're looking at your hobby in a different way, but like it adds like a whole new layer to it, which I think is awesome.
I agree. Yeah. It's been a weird change and a cool change. So my daughter's not into video games unless it's Just Dance, obviously, because I bought that for the Nintendo Switch opening day. Just throwing that out there again.
Hashtag mistakes.
Hashtag we all make mistakes. My son is really diving into video games a lot, and I have mixed feelings sometimes where I just want video games was my thing and like quiet time and me just doing that. And so that's been tough for me to have someone do it with me and say, okay, this is how you do it. Press this button. Cause I never had that as a kid. I never had someone, okay, this is what you need to do. My dad didn't really do that. And so it's taking a little bit more time for me to say, okay, I'm going to take the time. I'm going to help you with this game, or we're going to sit down and play this game together. And I think a lot of it was just space. My game rooms have always been pretty small or just not really conducive to, kids and stuff like that. And now in the new space that I'm in, it's kind of opening it up more where, he has the freedom to grab an NES game and just go for it. And that's been fun to watch, playing the classics that what he thinks is gems compared to what I think are gems. Like the games that he goes to that he's
American
like
Ninja Warrior all the way,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, like we went video game hunting. I'm sure I talked about this before, but I think it was for his birthday, and I was like, okay, pick out a game. And this was when there were some really good Switch releases out, and I can't even remember which ones. And it might have been like Mario Maker. I think it was around Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at the American Ninja Warrior Switch game. And I was like, why don't you get the Mario Maker? I think you'd enjoy it because I'm going to enjoy it more. I'm going to play it. And he was like, no, I think this is going to be a better game. And I was like, no, like, I know it's not going to be a better game. And he's like, it's my birthday present, Dad. And I was like, I know, but we're only going to buy one game today, and I want it to be mine. And that's what we did. Like on Black Friday, we were out in the chaos, and there really wasn't a ton of deals. It was kind of crappy, but he's been bugging me on, can I get Luigi's Mansion? Can I get Luigi's Mansion? And no, it's $60. I'm not going to buy it. And then Black Friday came around. It wasn't on sale or anything like that, but it was just that moment that I was like, why am I saying no to a really good game that I want to play?
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, get it. But we're not playing it together right now. And right now he's kind of just jumping in by himself. But yeah, gaming with kids it's been really weird. Cool. It's been really cool, but also very strange.
Yeah, it just turns into a lot of that, like finding the game that you can play together, or and ditching the games that you can't play in front of them quite a bit.
Yeah,
there's a lot less of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of things that you're like, just due to the slim hours in which you are able to experience them, you just can't get to.
Yep. And that'll just get worse as kids stay up later and later, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then they'll be wanting to play them themselves. So
I think when I was playing Grand Theft Auto, when I borrowed it and I just was playing it for a little bit, I mean, that was kind of an eye opener. Where, I mean, it's not it's a good game, but not for kids. And for him to come down to the game room, like, I want to play games, and I was immersed in this game, and it's like, hey, dude, you can't be in here. That was kind of a wake up call that, like, I got to watch what I'm playing so that he can enjoy the stuff too. So,
Right.
kind of have to shift a little bit.
Yeah, because we're all in like the positions with our collections where in the spaces that we play games, there are other games and other systems. So a lot of times, is in the situation Nate's pointing out, like, you're playing what you want on a device, but your kid's sitting there 2 feet away playing something else, but not really out of sync with what you're doing. So yeah, I've found myself in that situation too, where you're like, I got to turn this off, Just kind of like what we've talked about in the past, like how the wife and I were big into horror movies. It's like, well, you fall out of that because it just it's not conducive to like being a good parent and keeping your kids. Because kids, as they get older, they just come to you. There's like this sweet spot, like once they get over the age of 6, I feel like, where they're kind of like a little more independent, but like 3 to 5, when they can go like maybe 2 minutes without asking you for something dumb. And I love my kids, but like, they're never not in the room, even now today. Like
right
like,
now.
I don't know how many times in the last month, I don't know how many times I've reiterated to my children, the upstairs living room and TV, where I also have my record player and collection, is mom and dad's space. There is a reason I gave you bedroom TVs and you have your own rooms. I'm like, please turn off DuckTales. Give me my TV remote and leave. But you know what happens? I come back the next day and they're watching DuckTales, so which I'm also okay with. But yeah, you're never alone with kids our age.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool that we're all dads that, you know, I think we all had dads that weren't really into games and didn't really care about them, didn't really know anything about them.
We are
We're
pretty cool
kind
dads,
of
aren't we?
Against them. Yeah.
I know. I wonder about that with my son all the time because, like, I don't think there was really much of the opportunity outside of like My Retro Life or My Life in Gaming or whatever that guy's channel is. Like, I don't recall any dads like that when we were growing up where he's like actively excited helping you collect games. Like, I hope my kids look back and at least for a few years we're like, yeah, they're so cool. Like all these games, you know. Eventually, it's going to turn to resentment and like mocking, I assume, in the early teens. But for now, we're in that sweet spot where it's still cool dad with lots of games,
Lots of toys and figurines and a lot of screaming. Don't touch that! Don't touch that! That's mint, but it's in a box, and I want to open the box. Don't open the box.
Then they open the box.
I'll cut you.
Yeah, every time. You can't have a nice collection with kids all the time because they just grab the boxes and squeeze them. And my son is notorious. Like if something's in the box, hey Dad, what's this? I want to play with it. Please don't. Please don't.
I would say half of my Wii U collection has been on shrink wrap due to my children. Like I'll come home from a weekend away and there'll be like 8 games on the steps and I'm like, I did not open that. That's cool. Thanks for asking.
I can't believe all your amiibo are still packaged.
Well, you know, my children are smart and they realize much sooner than I did in life that amiibo are stupid and you shouldn't buy a wall of them because they're dumb.
You'll get it someday.
There we go. Talking about the last decade. Let's talk about some regret. Amiibo, number 1 on my list.
And yet you just recently bought one, didn't you?
My wife made the exact same comment today when I mocked the Amiibo at Best Buy. So, yes. Thank you for pointing out that I still continue to buy them. But I love them a little bit. Wait, okay, how about that? Biggest regret? Yeah, last decade, gaming-wise, biggest regret, guys. Amiibo's number 1 for me, for sure. Crackdown 3 would be number 2 for me. I wish I hadn't played that.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I would probably say Limited Run for me.
Oh, yeah, you did get hit hard by that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but financially, that bad decision could pay off heavily for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not really out much if I sold everything.
I don't think I bet you'd come up ahead, don't you think?
Yeah, probably.
Isn't Breach and Clear still worth like damn near $1,000?
I don't know if it's that high, but it's a few hundred, yeah.
Yeah.
But once they started getting going, they're pretty much what you bought them new for.
Sure.
I have no idea. Probably some recent Famicom games I got. Just joking.
I heard you got them at a good deal. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Playing the Matrix on GameCube, that's probably one.
I don't know. I not necessarily that I regret it. Like the boxed NES stuff was stuff that I never really, the road that I didn't want to go down, like cardboard and stuff like that.
Right.
And then a deal came around and I paid for it. And then, now I'm like, oh, I need this one. And I would like to find this one. And you start becoming a little more accepting of more stuff. And I mean, that's just my collecting in general now. But
what I love about this conversation and what you're saying right now, and that our viewers can appreciate, is that while he's talking about this regret, it's literally backlit with red glowing lights on the wall behind him. Like this demonic shrine haunting his bad decisions.
No, just going down that road, I think, isn't a huge regret. But
yeah, but you did it the right way. Like you only did console boxes. Like, you're not doing every game. Like, that's a different level of shelling out and manuals. I mean, if you're gonna, plus in the deal that you got to do it,
I think
stupid not
actually one of the probably regrets of my collecting was the amount of manuals that I obtained over the years of, here's an NES game with a manual and it just comes with it. But then trading them all off for an NES game, which is fine. But I was kind of, now that I think about it, I'm like, man, those manuals were kind of cool to have.
Especially the game you traded it for.
They didn't cost anything and for what I bought them. But
what was the game you got? So our viewers or listeners.
Contra Force.
Yeah.
And the manuals weren't anything rare or crazy, but I don't know, it was kind of cool to have at that time. And I am deep down, I'm like, maybe I should find those manuals again, but I don't want to go down that road because 10 years from now in this podcast, I'll be regretting that decision.
10 years from now in this podcast, I'm going to regret still doing this podcast.
Yeah, episode 975 here.
Ryan shits his pants again.
I just love how your story was like, you got into collecting, something, like going for a set of something because you got a really good deal on something.
Yeah.
And that sounds awfully familiar to an Atari Jaguar scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I love, except I have no regret finding an Atari Jaguar. So, like, yes, so that's one of the greatest things, too, from the last decade. And a lot of this happened, like, prior to me doing YouTube or early on in YouTube, like, almost 6 years ago, like, some of these things. Like, I found some of these, like, what I considered holy grail consoles, the TurboGrafx, the Jaguar. I found them out in the wild. But, yeah, to Andy's point, I came across a garage sale one day and like I walked out with bags of stuff, and one of those things was that box Jaguar, and I've just like gone on a mission to find Jaguar wherever I can and whenever I can. I don't go online and get it. I'll buy it only shops if I find it. Thrift stores doesn't happen, or
it sucks.
Conventions. And no, the Jaguar is fucking awesome, and it pisses me off that Nate doesn't appreciate the power of the Jaguar. It's 64 bits, Nate. Do the freaking math.
Well, we all know the Nintendo 64 is superior.
Oh my gosh.
by far.
My regret of the decade was murdering Nate after recording of episode 62 and being in prison for the rest of my life.
My latest regret in the last 2 days, killing Nate.
No. Yeah.
I remember going to your house and you're like, you ever play a Jaguar? No. Why would I ever play one? And then
it's awesome.
Sit down and play it. And then you're like, look at this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks so bad.
It sucks so good.
Although Tempest, I played Tempest, right?
Yeah, Tempest 2000 is amazing.
That was great. That was good.
Yeah.
But everything else garbage.
So is Tempest in the arcade.
Yes.
Right. That is probably the most obscure thing. I mean, you have a lot of weird things in your collection, very unusual stuff.
Yeah.
Consoles and everything. That is probably one of the craziest things because no one goes looking for a Jaguar thing. It finds you. You don't find it.
Yeah. I certainly never would have expected to find a boxed one complete at a garage sale.
And the games keep on coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a little over half the cartridge library. I love it. I mean, I know it sucks, but it's that combined nostalgia of the Atari being my first console, the 2600, and then just the fact that this was some obscure last attempt at them to remain in the console scene, seeing it as a kid, wanting it being gone before it ever got started. So I know it's bad.
And finding it in the wild.
I compare having a Jaguar is like having a kid that's a piece of shit. Like he's always in trouble. You're always like apologizing for him and talking to the principal, and he's a little motherfucker, but God damn it, he's your kid and you love him anyway. Oh
my gosh.
There's going to be some good in there. I don't have a piece of shit kid, so the Jaguar is my piece of shit kid.
I like it.
Can't control it. We're shit.
Yeah. Hashtag not regrets for me. I love the Jaguar. I don't know. That was kind of fun going back through the decade. I think what we're going to do, because we're at the end of the year, usually we do a game of the year. But I think this next episode, because we're going to have one more episode that's going to drop right at the end of the year, we'll kind of do something similar next episode and talk at least in part about our predictions for 2020, things that are going to happen, things in gaming, console launches. 2020 is going to be an interesting year for the next generation. I think we're going to see some big things. So stay tuned for that. And let's move on to the ending segment of the podcast. So let's do a little more trivia. We did this last episode for the first time. We were playing Ultimate Video Game Trivia, this amazing game that I picked up at Target. And you guys fared pretty well with the questions last time.
I think I'm up, 15 nothing?
Yeah, I was listening to
you're
that
undefeated.
recording. You get like one question right. You're like 4-7. Like
That's
random
how I get
numbers.
through life here.
So let's go through a few more of these. We've got some time. And test everyone's video game knowledge. Well, not everyone's. Andy and Nate specifically. First to answer, throw out the answer, gets them. So be on your toes, fellas. Carvo Antano is a protagonist of which game series? I wouldn't get this one.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Bug's Life.
It has a sequel.
Bug's Life 2.
There have only
Dishonored?
been... Yes. My
Okay.
next clue is going to be you can find them both in Target clearance bins.
What did you say? What was it?
It's Dishonored.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna guess that one.
Yeah. Right on the tip of your tongue, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Next question. In the 1998 game Metal Gear Solid, what is the name of the rogue Black Ops unit led by Liquid Snake? With Kojima, like it really could be named anything, but this one's actually not that nonsensical.
I have no idea.
It's
don't
named
know.
after
Is it
a
Fox
animal.
Die?
Close. Foxhound.
Okay.
So
Fox Die is something in that game. I forget what it was.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Metal Gear.
2-0.
In Mass Effect, which alien species is affected by the genophage?
Are we talking movies or video games?
Video games. I think
Dang
Andy's probably
it.
the only one who's played Mass Effect.
The genophage. Which one was that? It was whatever the Rex character is.
The Krogan?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
it is.
I have no idea. I'm going to give you that. These are harder ones.
3-0.
Whose experiments with the time machine kick off the events of Command and Conquer Red Alert? This is a weird one. Real human being also. Experiments. Cold War.
Wait, it's the actor that plays it?
No.
Or what? Oh.
It was a real human being who could have done
Oh.
experiments.
Stalin.
It's a good
Stalin.
guess.
Scientist. World War
Oh.
II. Atomic bombs.
Oh,
Einstein?
There you go.
Einstein.
You got it.
4-0.
I'm going to start skipping some of these that I don't... Oh, this is a good one.
These are hard. These
This
are
is
really
a-
hard.
This is a good one.
All right,
I'm
ready.
I expect this to come quickly, and
I bet you do.
this to be a race. Yeah, that's right. What are the inputs for the Konami code?
Up, up, down, down,
You know,
left, right,
B.
B, A, start, or
Yes.
select start, depending
Select
on
Stay
which
left,
one.
select, and start off. But yes, you nailed it. Yes.
I have that tattooed on my body.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. On your dick in 24-point font.
Up, up, down, down. Right, left, right.
With select start spelled out.
Yeah.
Good for you, Nate.
It's a big tattoo.
Congrats, you get 30 thrusts.
Congrats for you. Bad day
Select
for
start
her.
gets a little weird.
Oh,
Two player Konami gets a little strange.
All right, I'm derailing this. First appearing in the 1986 game Castlevania, player character Simon Belmont is usually seen wielding which type of weapon named the Vampire Killer?
The whip.
Yep. I'm going to call it a draw. You guys both got it.
No, I said it first. 7-0.
This is a weird one. So this one's movie and game related. In reference to Citizen Kane, which cheat code provided players of the 2000 game The Sims with 1,000 simoleons in currency upon its entry?
I'm a cheat.
Citizen Kane.
My only guess is Rosebud.
It has to be Rosebud, yes.
Sim City was I'm a cheat, and you'd get
That's right.
Everything?
Yeah.
I'm a cheat, and then you'd get
It was
millions of
just getting
dollars.
money. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love how they're just like, you have to admit it to do
Yep. I have no problem.
it.
I use that code often.
All right. Released in 1971, which computer game featured a journey to Willamette Valley and a possible game over due to the player dying of dysentery?
Oh, Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Yep.
1971.
Apparently,
Oh my!
been around a while.
gosh.
it's been around a while. This one's topical. In Tom Clancy's The Division, on what day of the year is the virus spread throughout New York through infected banknotes?
Black Friday.
Ding, ding, ding. Nailed it.
I think this is like 14-0.
That's why you should shop online.
That's right. You don't
Yeah.
want to get
You're
infected.
saving people's lives.
Exactly. Released in 2004, which video game was a prequel to the 2000 film Pitch Black and featured Vin Diesel reprising his role of Riddick? Great game, too.
Well, is it a Riddick game?
Yeah, do you remember the name? It was a big deal. This was like amazing lighting. Like this was pre-Doom 3. It was kind of a showpiece.
Just like Attack on Butcher Bay or something like that.
Close enough, yeah. Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay.
Okay.
I was a big Xbox guy, and that was the game you showed everybody who didn't have an Xbox, because damn did that look good.
Look at this Vin Diesel. Look at the light off his head.
It's so oily. He must have used baby oil. In Limbo, what kind of creature briefly captures the boy near the start of the game? Pretty memorable.
Spider?
Yep, spider. Nate, have you played that?
No.
You need to play Limbo.
Limbo on what?
It's been on every major console. It's been on everything that's come out in this gen and last gen, I think.
Yeah.
Not Wii, I don't think, but everything else. Or Wii U. But yeah, buy that. I think there's actually a combo pack for the Switch now. You can get Limbo and Inside. Inside's okay too, but Limbo. I'm still disturbed by the ending of Inside, to be honest.
Yes.
In which game did Kitana first appear as a playable character?
3?
What 3?
Mortal Kombat 3.
You're close.
Used up my guess.
2.
Yes, nailed it.
20-0.
How many colossi is Wander tasked with defeating in Shadow of the Colossus?
7.
No.
I just played that. Is it 10?
No.
8? 12?
16
Stop.
is the right answer.
Oh, wow. Don't remember
lot.
that many.
That was my second guess.
Developed by Rare, which side-scrolling beat-em-up game was released in 1991 in response to the popularity of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? This one's pretty obvious.
Battletoads.
Yep. I think we just tweeted about that today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And of course the
Battletoads on
NES.
Genesis or
No,
NES?
not on Genesis, NES all the way. Ooh, Andy's going to get this one. Which 5 colors are used on the fret buttons of Guitar Hero controllers? Which 5 colors?
Red, green, blue, yellow.
Orange?
Yep. Nailed it.
I didn't finish my answer, Andy.
Vetoed.
This wasn't a team effort. This was a solo project, okay?
Was Rock Band the same colors?
Yes. They took it over, I think, right? They just kind of copied it. Because the
Yeah.
instruments were interchangeable on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I should
Yeah, it must have been then.
Man, I really miss playing the drums on Rock Band. Like, I should take that out. I've got like that Green Day Rock Band. I used to just frickin' wail through that. So satisfying. Just pretend you're a drummer.
Keep the whole house up at
Yeah.
night, just wailing on drums.
So
On
good.
plastic. That's the worst part. It's not actual drums. It just sounds like you're whacking like plastic bins.
Yeah. It's like you're beating like a rubber dummy over the head or something. It's not good. In which Nintendo 64 game does the player take on the role of Joanna Dark?
Oh, Perfect Dark.
How do you know that?
Andy, I'm killing you right now.
I know.
Which character
25-0.
was regarded as the unofficial mascot of Sega before Sonic the Hedgehog?
Alex Kidd.
Heck yes. People forget about poor Alex Kidd. He was the Mario monkey wannabe.
Bring paper, rock, scissors back to video games.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
The weird like jumping and punching like aspects of Alex Kidd were always just off-putting, even as a child. There's something not right about that. Introduced in Mario Kart 64 and a staple of the series since, which controversial projectile targets the race leader?
Blue Shell.
Yep. That was my cats in the background, if anybody's curious. Being douchebags.
That's weird. That's when
that's when cats.
Mario Kart started sucking.
Hey now, they brought it back. Mario Kart 8.
Still's got blue shells though.
Yeah. But they get the horn now. You can negate the blue shell with the horn.
Yeah, that's like a 1% chance that you get the horn when you're in first place anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean that's true. And usually I use it so I can get something that's actually useful,
Mm-hmm.
which you don't because video games. Game Boy's launch title Alleyway was a clone of which classic 1976 Atari arcade game?
Arkanoid.
No,
Oh shoot, we played
Breakout.
this.
it is Breakout. Yep,
I mean, they're all the same, but
pretty much. What are the nicknames for the 4 Pac-Man ghosts?
ooh,
Inky.
Blinky.
Stinky.
Nope.
There's a Clyde in there somewhere.
There is a Clyde. That's the weird one. I'm amazed you got that.
Inky, Blinky, Clyde,
Winky.
Tinky,
What'd you say?
Tinky, Tinky
Mm,
Winky,
It has to do with the color of one of them.
Pinky.
Pinky.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Clyde. I like how they just have a Clyde in there. Like, I can't think of any more E words. Oh, well, Clyde. All right.
35-0.
35-0. You guys aren't going to know these. Which studio was the developer for the 2018 game Spider-Man? PS4. This is it.
Square
well,
Enix?
No.
Insomniac.
Yes, Insomniac.
Oh,
games.
Insomniac.
PlayStation's baby. In the multiplayer game, so many 64 questions. In the multiplayer for Nintendo's 64's classic GoldenEye 007, which weapon is famed for its ability to defeat an can't talk. To defeat
Golden
an opponent.
Gun.
Yep, nailed it. I
Dang.
couldn't even read, and you got it.
Yeah. That was my guess too before you even finished, but I'm like, I better finish it. Hearing it.
Well, you get the point. I appreciate you not being.
I was much more respectful.
Yes. Nate, how rude
Respect
of you.
points.
Point deducted.
31.
Point deducted.
35-1. I got the respect point.
Andy might get this one, so I'm going to read it. Which science fiction themed Japanese role playing game series is developed by Tri-Ace?
Mahjong.
That is one nice piece of ace.
Is it Star Ocean?
Yes. Wow.
Okay.
Good job.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Wow. Too bad you didn't buzz in to get that point.
I don't think you guys are going to get all of this, but all except part of this is the right answer. In the 1986 arcade game Outrun, what type of car does the player control?
Yeah, Ferrari 4-3 or Ferrari 445 433
Yeah, there's a 5 in there, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. They just put Ferrari
405.
Testarossa Spider is all they put, but Ferrari
Oh.
was the answer I was looking for.
Yeah,
It has an F something number.
I felt
I'm
so
sorry,
bad
I don't
flipping
remember.
that car and killing that girl.
I know. Did they have seatbelts on? That's what I've always wondered because you can't see them. Lap belts?
I mean, their heads are crushed in that convertible.
It's tragic. Released
Yeah.
by Nintendo, what is the name of the cardboard interactive toy line compatible with a Nintendo Switch console?
Labo.
Not correct.
Nintendo Labo.
Correct.
Thought it was labia this whole time.
Labo.
Hey, Dad, I'm going to go play with the labia.
No, the Nintendo labia.
The
It's okay.
Nintendo labia. It's now for doctors.
You do it for like 3 seconds and then you get bored.
God. I love the rabbit holes we go down. This is just. What is the name of the undead protagonist from the 1998 game Medieval?
Oh, I know this.
He's a skeleton guy?
Yeah.
Frank?
Sir
Sir
Daniel
Daniel.
Fortescue.
Yes. Wow. Amazing. I would not have even gotten the Sir Daniel part. It's impressive.
He's in PlayStation Battle All-Stars. That's where I know him from.
Oh, really? God, man, we should really play that game as what a trip that game is.
It's weird.
Just like all these characters that time forgot. And they're like, no, these are our all-stars. This is great. Fuck you, Smash. We can do this. Which video game is set at Bulworth Academy?
Oh, Bully.
Ah,
Holy shit. Where'd that one come from?
My butt.
Oh, your butt smart.
Thanks.
Your head of the ass.
that should be their next game. I would like another bully. That was fun.
I've heard rumors that is happening potentially.
Really?
But then I
Ooh,
think
that'd be
somebody
good.
said those rumors aren't true, but I don't know.
Hmm.
It's one of those things. Everybody keeps talking about it.
What do they do next, though?
Well, so rumors.
GTA 7?
Well, but rumors have been that they're working on a medieval game. Like
what?
swords and like medieval, like that era,
Oh.
like
Huh.
Dark Ages. Potentially, who knows? We'll see. Rockstar could do worse. I don't know. This will probably be the last question. I think we've rambled on long enough. So winner take all here.
I got it.
You can't answer till I'm done reading. No cheating, Nate.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
released for the Sega CD peripheral to the Mega Drive in 1992. Which full-motion video game has the player protect Kelly Mead and others using traps and security cameras?
Night Trap.
Night Trap.
Yep, and he got it.
That's not even true. I was up 40-1.
It's winner take all. That's how winner take all works.
This was
is
a 50
brag.
point question.
I hate this podcast.
It's okay.
I worked so hard reading video game books to learn this stuff.
I appreciate the effort you put in.
Hey,
Sadly,
that's what I do.
It's not enough.
You should just go buy this game and then look at all the cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Memorize the cards.
Yeah,
I got to do some studying, guys.
immediately.
I'm going to be like the
Target.
Rain Man. Oh, bully.
I don't. How did you get bully? Was it just the
Yeah, I
Bulworth
just-
Academy?
It rang a bell. That's all. Never played it.
I've heard it's great.
obviously.
I own at least one copy of it. I think I have two, maybe.
Don't you just walk around beat up people?
I mean, kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
Want to take us out?
Where do you want to go?
Target.
Let's go get that game. All right. Anyways, thanks for strolling down memory lane with us. We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're following us on all our social medias, Twitter and Facebook. There's a lot of things posting on there, as well as YouTube. Hopefully we're going to be putting out some videos very soon.
Things
on
are in the
YouTube,
works.
so just be patient. So make sure that you're subscribed to all of that stuff. And you can send us email, send us a comment, maybe a gaming memory that you have in the last 10 years. You can send that to weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. We'll do our best to read all of them. And then make sure that you can find all things Weekend Rental at weekendpodcast.com as well as geekade.com. And as always, guys, be kind, rewind,
Do the math.
tickle my taint.
Labia.